How can I, 22F, accept that my boyfriend, 20M, wants to sleep with other women? Okay, so this is a tough one, so please bear with me. 3/4 of a week ago I found a load of stuff on my boyfriend of 5 years' phone. Detailed messages to girls on and loads of money spent, porn, hidden accounts, saved videos on all social media, etc. This kind of stuff has always been an agreed boundary in our relationship, and I've been completely heartbroken about it all, honestly. He's told me that he has an addiction and doesn't know how to stop, and after him lying over and over for the past 3 years and then continuing to do it with me in the next room after seeing how devastated I am, I decided that we should have some time apart for a week. We decided to meet up and talk things through. We were both significant other excited to see each other, but also both in a lot of pain. During the week apart, I didn't go to work, barely ate, barely slept, and pretty much just cried in bed over everything, but I was holding on to the thought of us both getting some professional help for our issues and then finding each other again, so reached out to some therapy services and started going to the gym again. Him, on the other hand, went out with his friend, took drugs, completely out of character for him, and then has come back to me and said that he wants to stay with me, living with and in a relationship with, but wants to go to his parents on weekends and party, sleep with other women and try new things for a month or so he can experience life while he's young. Now I get it. We were each other's firsts and onlys, and he doesn't want to regret not sleeping with someone else his whole life, but how can I accept that? How can I have him then come back to me on a Monday like everything is cool after he's been intimate with other women? I've suggested that we just be friends, work on ourselves, and then come back in a year or so and catch up, but he is just saying that he doesn't want to lose me or be without me. We are both struggling with our mental health at the minute and feeling really low and confused, but genuinely, we make each other significant other happy and are literally made for each other. Why would he put that at risk for some quick sex? I don't get it. I don't know what to do, but I know that I want him more than anything, and I don't want to hold him back or have to live through watching him get with other people and then come back to me the next day. Too long did not read. My boyfriend and I had some time away to think about some issues we are having, and he's decided that he wants to experience sleeping with other women rather than getting mental health support and fixing our relationship, but also wants to stay with me while doing it. Tia. Edit. I have just reread this and realized how messy and grammatically incorrect it all is. Sorry. Thank you all significant other much for the advice, support, private messages, etc. It is so refreshing and overwhelming to hear from other people that are a bit more level-headed about it. I am coming to realize that I need to start looking after myself and doing things to boost my self-esteem. I have a meeting in a few hours with a therapist, which is something I've needed to do for a really long time, so wish me luck. My concern is that he is going to end up hurting himself or being in a bad way from me leaving, but I know I need to just let go. Also, after reading this back, I can now see that my focus is making him happy rather than fixing our relationship or helping myself, which is not healthy either. I love him more than anything, but reading your advice has helped me to realize that maybe I just loved the idea of what I wanted him to be less than. 3. Thank you all again. I will try my best to respond individually when I can. Oh girl, no. Please muster up some self-respect and leave this dude. He lies and manipulated, and wants to keep you on the back burner for whenever he wants you. You deserve a lot more than what this schmuck could ever give you. I don't think he really cares about losing you, as he's broken every boundary imaginable and then suggested something he knew you wouldn't truly be okay with. Respect yourself and your standards and break up with him. You both want totally different things in a relationship. Why would you even consider throwing all of your personal standards out the window? And then all for someone who has zero respect for you. So many posts lately about women trying to stay with a guy who is 100% awful. Just leave him. Your life will be fine without him. Yeah, it'll hurt for a while, but that's normal and it'll be fine eventually. Please have some self-respect for you and realize his behavior is garbage. Have some self-respect and tell this man to go fuck himself. I'm old, and I'm going to give you the benefit of my years of relationship experience. Fuck this guy. And I don't mean that literally. I mean you should tell him to fuck off. Unless you're cool with being his booty call bangmaid. Because that's what he wants. And the fact that he actually thinks what he wants is okay is repulsive. Please, sweetie, pick your dignity up off the floor, dust it off, and tell him to get lost. I am 28. Think my relationship with my wife, F27, is over. Okay, so, I don't usually do this, but I guess it's forced now. I apologize for any typos or whatnot, as I'm fairly upset at the moment, and I do hope you'll be patient with me and the drama that's spilling out. Again, this will probably be all over the place as I'm spilling my heart out and can't really put hours into editing to make it flow well. Anyways. Hi, Reddit. This is the alt account of the husband, M28, from this post that my wife, F27, made about a day ago. As my wife said, we've been together for 7 years now, married for 3. And I have an issue with porn. Don't know when it turned bad. But, I've turned to porn more or less as soon as I started having an interest in sex. Probably started as a result of me always being stuck at home due to my disability, so, not really many options other than porn. Never really thought of it as a problem until a few years ago though. Decided it was an issue when I tried to give it up and found that I had problems doing so. Found myself looking for porn even when I felt terrible for doing it and hated myself for it. Hell, it was so bad I didn't even do it to jack off but to just watch it. Gross. Tons of shame. And #X200B. I think it's important to mention something that people seem to overlook in her post. I actively go to therapy. Some of my friends know about the issue. No one is on her side. Actual professionals tell me she needs to go to therapy herself. 3 separate therapists from 2 different practices all unanimously said that she needs help over this, with at least 2 questioning whether I even have a problem in the first place. People were commenting saying that I'm abusive and that no therapist would side with me, but, y'all see her post and that's it. It's why I decided to make my own since she's so set on making our issues public. And #X200B. Now, I think it's important to paint a bit of a picture as to the nature of our relationship. I mean, if I'm going to talk about something so humiliating I may as well go big. I live in NY. My wife lived in Florida. We met on a now-dead social media site that probably no one other than us even remembers it. We've dated for 2 or 3 years before I made the trip down to see her in person. She's made the trip up here a few times over the last few years as well. She's been stuck at home with her life on hold taking care of her ill mother until we move in together, which was supposed to be this summer but she cancelled it over this. I've just graduated law school and I'm working on getting my license to become an attorney. Due to the distance between us, intimacy has been hard. Add in our issues and it's practically non-existent. Even when things were good between us, we'd masturbate together once a week? That quickly turned to once every few months. Now it just never happens. She says it's just not the same after having sex IRL. She says that she doesn't want to because she hates her body and wants to wait until she loses weight. I say that it's because of how she turned the very idea of sex into this big terrible thing that I should be disgusted by. Either way, in the last year or so we've masturbated something like once or twice outside the handful of weeks we've spent together on holidays. She says I just need to take the initiative and start it, but when I do it's too late. Not today. I want to wait until I lose weight. Hell, even when we do it I'm lucky if I get to see her chest as she refuses to even take her shirt off, much less give me more. Knowing I have an issue with porn. And #X200B. Now, why did I decide I need to give it up? Well, my girlfriend, who is now my wife, had an issue with it. It started when we were on that social media site and she was in my account and saw one of my convos with a friend. I went over the line in the conversation, complimenting one of her selfies where her panties were showing, and out of shame I ghosted said friend. It was awkward. Stupid. A mistake. I went back to talk to them a few days later and that's when my wife saw the convo and understandably flipped out. Note, at that point, we were together for less than a month probably, a brand new relationship. Issues spiraled. She started looking into things more and found my RP forum that I've been cultivating since something like 12-14 which by that point was fairly smut-infested by myself and some friends. That got deleted into oblivion. Lost the vast majority of the people I used to write with then, with only a handful of people that I knew had other accounts elsewhere being my only forms of contact. The kicker? Never even hid the forum. Hell, I invited her to join and she just didn't feel like it at first. Not until she found out it had smut, something I never even hid. Didn't think it was an issue to hide. What's the issue about sex and stories? Writing murder is fine and dandy but the moment these fictitious characters have sex it's a problem and becomes smut. Well, I started hiding my actions by lying at this point. Made a new forum and resumed writing with the handful of people I could recontact. Started feeling like shit because who wants to lie to their partner? Didn't think I had an addiction then just yet as I was mostly baffled and didn't want to give up more friends. Years worth of lying and sneaking around to look at porn, write smut, etc. Lost the last handful of friends I had due to all the drama and having to remake forum after forum because she kept tracking them down. Found other places to write but was found out too. Now it's more or less non-existent as I'm just too dead inside to write it. I'm not even allowed to write it for my own eyes as it might make me want to start sharing my writing again. Oh, and did I mention that she thinks it's cheating? A character having sex with another character is me cheating. She writes stories where her characters fall in love and has sex, but that's okay. But if I do it, it's cheating and abusive and I'm a piece of shit that doesn't care about her. Then there's the actual porn. I remember a few years ago she was telling me that looking at porn was cheating on her. Man, that messed me up. I refused to listen to it, but still messes with my head. She said it was me putting other women above her. And #X200B. My problem with porn has only gotten worse over the years, with my therapists thinking it's because of her. Something to do with her giving no intimacy or whatnot aside from the handful of weeks we managed to get together over holidays. She'd beat me down every day as to how horrible I am. How abusive I am. How dare I treat her so terribly after everything that she's done for me. My depression quickly went from an existential crisis that every college kid goes through to me being near suicidal over it. And what did she do for me? She threatened and bullied me into giving everything up. For years I've told myself how lucky I was to have her. For years she'd tell me how lucky I was to have her. How no one else would care about me. How no one else would love me. She'd chip away at things. Started with the dozens of members on my forum, a community I spent about a decade building. Then it turned to me not being able to play certain games because they had pretty girls in them. Can't listen to certain music because it has girls in it or it's a girl singing. Can't browse social media when out with friends. Can't hang out with friends unless she's okay with it. I used to be a social butterfly with dozens of friends from all walks of life and now I'm down to 4 friends. And even then I should be thankful for her letting me have them. My therapist seriously worries for my life if I lose that friend group, and my wife, someone that's supposed to love me, fights me nearly every other week into either picking them or her, and when I choose her I'm so lucky to have her allow me to keep them. That's the effort she talks about. That's what she's brought to the table. Over me looking at porn and writing smut. And #X200B. But that's not it. If I act up too much she threatens to go public about how I have an addiction to porn and how I write smut. Something she knows I'm ashamed about. Something she knows could ruin my career down the line as we have to maintain a good public image as lawyers or risk losing our license. She threatens to make posts like what I linked to above where people I know will see it. Hell, she's gotten into my social media accounts and made similar posts there. I had to find out from my friends who were bewildered. When my best friend confronted her, she threatened my bank account. She constantly threatens to tell my last group of friends. She threatens to tell my family. And the whole time I'm the abusive one. I'm abusing her. By struggling with not looking at porn so I could pretend to have some affection in my life. And #X200B. In her post she said she's tried to do everything, absolutely everything to help. Well, that's her help. That's how she's tried to help me get over looking at porn. I get people being hurt over porn in relationships. But this is too much. What's the issue with looking at porn to be pleasantly horny? What's the problem with jacking off if your significant other hasn't had sex with you in months? What's the problem with wanting to not feel dead inside? Did I do it too much? Sure, maybe. Even that's in question as my current therapist doesn't even think I have an addiction to porn but just am starved for any affection I can find. And #X200B. In her post she asked me to pick between her and the porn and I replied with crude crass words. Sure, sounds horrible. But did you hear the rest of the fight? Did you hear how the choice was more than just her or porn? She was asking me to pick her or porn, her or my last few friends, her or she'd threatened to tell the world. The fight wasn't over porn in the first place. She told me she wanted me to try being social again, to reach out to my friends and game with them, make new connections. So I could whittle my group of 4 down to 2. But, sure, I set that up. Other than meeting for D&D every Saturday, I just met with one of them on Friday for a game night with one of our fav games. Upon her advice, told one of the others that I'd be getting a game he loves so I could game with him as well. Well, she flipped out. Me spending 4 hours with friends 3 times a week is way too much. She's not okay with that now, after she's the one that told me to set it up in the first place. So, I said, I don't want to pick the bitch who's making me pick. And she hung up and made her Reddit post. And #X200B. She's tried too hard to be enough, by doing nothing. Her crying about me looking at porn? Yeah. That was her screaming at me about how I'm an abusive asshole and how I ruin her life. How I make her suicidal. How I'm the reason she nearly killed herself any given number of times. Her asking too many questions? That was her getting into my accounts. Tracking everything I do on every device. Posting on social media through my accounts to get me to confess so I'd get them back before she deletes them. She's changed all of it? Is that why she's still threatening me? Is that why she's posting on social media? And somehow by telling her I don't want to pick someone that makes me lose everything I care about, I treat her like trash. And #X200B. I guess I'm done now. Don't know if the sub will even react to this. She was kind enough to show me all your responses though. Glad to see I'm abusive. Glad to see that I love porn more than I love my wife, even when I've given everything up for her. Glad to see my brain so rotted over porn and not the years of this. Great to be told how I'm broken, how I've always been broken, how I'll always be broken. That's how she's right here loving him as best as I can. And #X200B. TLDR, my relationship has made me give up everything that I care about over me struggling to give up porn. I think you both sound exhausting and this clearly isn't a healthy relationship one way or the other. Also, is she your legal wife? If so, what state are you married in? Also, assuming you are legally married and regardless of which state, if I'm reading this correctly, she put off moving in together, granted due to this whole situation, but whatever, yet you two got the whole ass government involved. From an outsider looking in, based solely on each of your posts, I think this relationship should end and you should each maintain therapy. It all seems very high risk, no reward. You two shouldn't have gotten married. You are not good with and for each other. It's toxic. Keep going to therapy just for yourself and I think you two should divorce. I don't see a happy outcome of this because it sounds extremely unhealthy. All I can say is, not a single person here is going to be able to tell who's telling the truth about this relationship, who is conveying the full, accurate picture. How did you find her post? You're in a toxic relationship. You should file for divorce as she's established a long track record of mental abuse. If she's your ex, most people aren't apt to care what she says. Why are you two even together if you make each other so miserable? This is all so toxic. As another comment mentioned, regardless of whose side is true and even if both are lies, split up. Both of you need to be out of each other's lives and in therapy. I hope you both find some peace apart. I messed up, 36 male. But did my wife, 38 female, take it too far? My wife, 38 female, and I, 36 male, have been married for almost 2 years now. We recently went on a ski trip with another couple and 3 of her friends. There was one other husband on the trip, so we spent most of the time skiing together until the girls came out later and then we meet up. I messed up by not spending more time skiing with my wife, and what triggered her was that we were having a boozy lunch with her friends on the mountain and I chose to go skiing down the mountain with her 3 single girlfriends even though they didn't ask me to join them or for my help. I didn't even offer to ski down with my wife and so basically I ditched her and left her to ski down all by herself. Then while skiing down with her friends I took about 20-30 pictures and videos of them that they had requested earlier and shared them all in our group text chat. My wife took this as being disrespectful since it's not something I do of her and that I rather spend time with her friends and not her. She also pointed out that the husband of the other couple didn't go out of his way for the single girl, so why did I do it? When she explained this to me and how much it hurt and embarrassed her, I didn't really acknowledge doing anything disrespectful. At the time I didn't think anything of it, so she asked to look at my camera roll and pointed out that I took about 13 pics of her the entire trip and 60+ photos and videos of her single girlfriends. This also isn't the first time she's mentioned this. Last year we went on a similar trip where I pulled some similar shit on her, paying more attention to her single friends on our trip last year, and she explained that it hurt her then too, without making it physical. At this point she slapped me and pointed out all the ways I have ruined her trip. After she explained how much it made her feel insecure, I took more pics and videos of her friends the very next day, and again not one single picture of her. She said that I'm emotionally abusing her because my actions speak louder than my words by continuing to put others before her, and if that's my prerogative then why shouldn't she do the same to me? She then goes out to the bar with her friends and makes out with some random guy because she wants me to feel what pain I cause here. She tells me this the next day. I am an idiot and do dumb shit sometimes, but I would never cheat on our marriage, but I feel like she really crossed the line here. After she has berated me, hit me, and pointed out all the ways I have ruined her trip. Your wife's abusive, bro. She berated you, hit you, and cheated on you. For spending time with her friends? She's an abuser, a cheater, and a verifiable psycho. You went skiing with mutual friends and took non-sexual, normal photos of them. You didn't mess up. I'm concerned to hear your wife hit you. Has she hit you and berated you before? You don't deserve this. Even if she's never done this before, abuse often escalates. I'm worried for you. Feel free to check out our abusive relationships. There are numerous other men who use the sub who have been in abusive relationships. Also, we have a list of domestic abuse resources for men in the sidebar. You don't deserve to be abused. Most people enjoy when their partners make an effort to befriend and spend time with their friends. Yours took it as an opportunity to be abusive and cheat. Doesn't seem like a healthy relationship. Your wife is unstable. She hit you? Because her friends asked you to take pics? And then your wife made out with a guy at the bar to punish you? I'm thinking you're in an extremely emotionally abusive relationship. No part of you should be thinking that you did anything wrong or that her reaction is normal. This is not your fault. Consider divorce. If that seems insane to you, please seek therapy. You deserve better. My 39 male wife, 39 female, gets me the best gifts and she's so hard to shop for. My wife is an amazing gift giver. So very thoughtful and creative. I thought I outdid her this year by purchasing many small gifts that catered to her likes for Xmas, but again she blew me out of the water. She has proceeded to outdo me yet again for my 40th b-day by booking me several different reservations at Galaxy's Edge at Disney to different buildable workshops. She has knocked it out of the park yet again. I absolutely adore how she's so great and thoughtful when it comes to the gifts she gives. But for her 40th later this year I have no idea how to even come close. She has always wanted to do the Food and Wine Festival at Epcot and I am planning on doing that. She has also mentioned that you can hire nannies to watch your kids at the parks so that you can do your own thing, so I'm planning on incorporating that as well. The problem is I don't know what else to do. She's not materialistic at all and never wants anything except a new bag or backpack every so often. But even then she never wants an expensive one. I just feel like I'm not spending enough by comparison and it's making me feel bad about the gifts I give her. I think you're a little in your head here. Has she ever said anything negative about what you get her, or is this all coming from you based on what you think about her gifts for you? Your gift ideas sound great. Remember, it's not about how much money you spend. It's about showing that you know and care about the other person, which it sounds like you have done. My brother's ex-girlfriend was like your wife, and he too felt like you. One year he gave her a jar with little notes in it, and every Wednesday he had her pick a note from that jar. The notes were what they were going to do that weekend. Had her pick midweek just in case they needed a sitter. They went rock climbing, white water rafting. A theme park close to us, dinner and movie in, midnight picnic. He had all of the family and her family and friends fill the jar. It was quite fun for them. And they had a blast. And he always took a picture from the outings and gave her a photo album when the last piece of paper came out of the jar. May not help you this birthday, but just a suggestion for the future. If she doesn't want a physical thing, give her an experience. Really fancy dinner, go to play, high-end spa day, trip to a beautiful place, scrapbook or photo album, batting practice during off-season spring training. Stuff like that. You mentioned the event at Epcot. Is there anything special that can be booked there? Private tasting with Mickey? Behind-the-scenes tour? Sounds like an experience is what she would like instead of material goods. Gift giving shouldn't be a competition and you shouldn't try to outdo your wife. That's just setting you up for failure and will make you into an asshole. You need to get out of that mindset. As for what to do for her birthday, just do and get her things that you think she would love. Like the wine festival at Epcot and having an adult time at Disney. You could also get her something sentimental like a mother's ring necklace.